Welcome to First Impressions. Tonight we're talking about aviations and amateurs. And I'm Belinda.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Spencer.
And I'm Kevin, the Tiger King.
And we're here to penetrate your lives as always.
Clap on, clap off.
So what are we drinking today?
Jack on, jack off, the jacker.
We're not drinking the jack on and jack off. I mean,
Not today,
I'm no prude, but you know.
You're worried you'll get it in your eye. You'll get it in your eye.
Man, getting in your eye is the worst.
You'll
It's a bad
shoot
way to
your
start
eye
an
out.
episode.
It is the worst. It's literally the worst feeling. I'm just saying.
What are we drinking today, Kevin?
Today we are drinking a classic cocktail that has a little bit of history and also a little bit of venom, I guess you could say. Not in the actual drink, but in the history of the drink. So it's a drink called the Aviation. Have you guys had the Aviation before?
I've made one for myself, but I've never ordered one at a bar. I was mostly just curious. It was part of a list actually on BuzzFeed.com.
Yeah.
And it popped up. I think Belinda may have shared it with me, but it was a list of like cocktails that you've never heard of that people mostly like or something like that. And so I was like, okay, I'll try this out. So I went and bought the ingredients, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. I've heard it described by the haters as basically a cocktail made up of hand soap. Because it's got the floral notes to it.
They probably don't like
notes.
cilantro either then.
Yeah, they're probably those same assholes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just kidding. Love you, people in my life who hate cilantro.
I don't.
No, it's a classic. It shows up first in a cocktail book around, and cocktail history, alcohol history in general is a little fuzzy. Because some of the history of alcohol is tied to things that were illegal at the time. And so they didn't, necessarily write down, keep a lot of records about things.
And then even probably drunk and forgot to write it down.
Yeah. Or it was legal and it was, something no one really thought they would ever really care to know the history of or whatever. And a lot of recipes like this, even today, get made in the back rooms of bars or during the off hours of bartenders getting together and coming up with a new menu for the upcoming month or season.
Sometimes proprietary recipes that they didn't want to share with people, right?
Yeah, just like we talked about before with the green chartreuse that you can see right there. It's still a proprietary recipe, right? Like the two people on the earth know what the recipe is. So we do know what the recipe of the Aviation is. First of all, it's one of the coolest names for a cocktail ever, I think. The Aviation, it just sounds all like
flying high.
I don't know. Yeah. It calls for gin. I'm using this Flower City gin, which I actually just opened and have never tried before. So that should be interesting. But I figured since it's a floral cocktail and it's called Flower City and has lots of flowers on the actual bottle, that would work. Some maraschino liqueur, which is actually involved in a lot of kind of classic cocktails. And then the crème de violette, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's made from violets and other floral things and different herbs.
I saw that there's some berry infusion as well with it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the ingredient list.
I was just reading up a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's a in my opinion, it's a little spendy, as most liqueurs are like that.
It's not to the chartreuse level though.
No. It's what, maybe in the mid 30s to 40s?
Because chartreuse, I mean, depending on where you go, is going to be 50,
Like
60
50,
bucks.
60 bucks. Yeah.
And it'll last you a long time. So,
But I was going to say,
maybe.
But the crème de violette really kind of will. I mean, rarely does a recipe call for more than a half an ounce of it. So this bottle will last you for quite a while. But if you like anything floral, I mean, it's not like you're eating flowers. It's just a floral edge to it. Then you'll love this in drinks. And I've added it to drinks that don't call for it before because the coloring is also pretty great. It's hard to tell in here, but it's kind of a purplish blue once you add it to a cocktail, as you will see momentarily.
So anyway, you don't find a lot of drinks with that color.
Yeah, there's not a lot of blue things in nature. If you think about it, most of the blue we think of in nature is actually, well, we don't need to do a science lesson, but not actually blue. It's just reflecting the color of the atmosphere or whatever.
Oh, that's true.
There are some cultures that don't even have the word for blue.
Right.
That is interesting. That's fucking with my head now.
Yeah, so like they'll look at the sky and it'll just be a shade of green.
It's like that. It's like that meme I sent you guys where it was like, have you ever seen your neighbors taking the groceries? Proof that we live in a simulation. I was like, holy shit.
You're like, wait, have I? No, blue used to be probably the hardest color for artists to get when it came to painting and things like that, because there wasn't, natural, even things we think of like, oh, well, blueberries, whatever. Well, squish a blueberry, it's not very blue inside.
No.
There's a little pigment in the skin that's blue, but the inside of a blueberry is most definitely not blue. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to get off on a tangent there. But so the aviation kind of went out of fashion. You stopped being able to get crème de violette in the United States in the early 1960s, I believe. And people just forgot about it. If you can't get one of the ingredients, then it's hard to get. There were some books that came out. I think one was the Savoy cocktail book or something like that, that had the recipe for the aviation. But it just simply left out the crème de violette. So it was the same recipe, just left that out. So the OG recipe with the crème de violette is what we're going to make today, however, because we all like the flavor of it and the color. So the recipe calls for, I've already pre-mixed mine in my shaking tin, calls for 1.5 ounces to 2 of a nice gin. On this one, I would actually go away from like a London Dry and do more of a floral type gin, like I'm hoping this one will be, I'm pretty sure, or Hendrick's,
Uncle Val's,
yeah,
Uncle Val's.
Or if you're feeling special, you could use Empress gin.
So I did want to make a butterfly pea tea syrup, but I remembered I did not have any more flowers.
Yeah.
So,
I got you, Belinda. I've got so many. I've got you.
Yeah, you order them online and like this giant thing shows
like, here's a 5-pound bag.
Oh my
like,
God,
I don't need this.
For pretty cheap too. Like it was.
right.
It's just like that. What did you order that one time? It was some sort of. It was for a cocktail, but it looked like a thing of cocaine showing up on our doorstep.
It was flint powder. I still have it. Powder. I still need to make that syrup.
But it looked like we get delivered a brick of cocaine to the front door.
Yeah, it was all like, taped up.
I was like, what is this on the doorstep?
And it was heavy too. It was massively heavy.
Oh my God.
All right, so 1.5 ounces of a gin, preferably a floral one, 1/2 ounce of maraschino liqueur, 1/2 ounce of fresh lemon juice, and then there's a lot of variation to the recipes you find online. The recipe you sent over, Spencer, called for a bar spoonful of the crème de violette. I just go ahead and do 1/2 ounce of this as well.
I did like 1/2 ounce
because I like the floral and I like the color that it brings. If you just do a bar spoonful, it's like not a bad color, but it's really faded. Yeah. So I did 1/2 of all 3 ingredients and then 1.5 ounces of the gin. So I've pre-mixed here. I'm gonna go ahead and put some ice in my shaker and give this a shake.
I have nightmares that I'll do this on the show one day, shake my cocktail, and then have it like explode on my computer. Would
For real.
not be good.
That
That's
happened to me with the one drink we had with the egg in it.
Oh, the pisco sour.
Yeah.
Sad. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and strain mine now. I've got my handy dandy strainer. And you see, even with the half ounce of the creme de violette, it's not like purple. Some of the ones I see online where they're like bright purple, like I'm like, oh, you must have used the whole fucking bottle of that stuff.
When I make it with butterfly pea colored gin, it's beautiful, but it
Oh yeah.
doesn't really change the flavor either. So if you want it more purple, you could certainly do that.
The standard, as you see on Spencer's, the standard garnish for it is brandied cherry, which I have here as well. I also like to put a little dried lemon on it. So just a little lemon slice that's been dried out. Let's toss that in there. And it'll be hard to see.
I don't get the dish soap flavor.
No.
I don't get that. Beautiful, Kevin. I don't get the dish soap thing.
I'm floating rosebuds on mine. Dried
Of course you
rosebuds.
are.
I think
Of
it's
course you are.
beautiful. I think it's just fucking
Wow.
beautiful.
Belinda's gonna be like, I carved an airplane out of ice, and it's like that
I
fucking
was like
bird.
running around trying to, I was like, what am I going to garnish it with?
Rather than shake mine, I'm gonna run mine through my giant ice carving of an airplane to chill it.
Yeah. It's true.
Oh
I
my
did
God.
just buy a chainsaw, so if you want to do an ice carving, you can
It is
borrow my
delicious
chainsaw.
though, but
It
like I
is.
said, I don't get the notes of
No, I
dish
I,
soap
I
at
think it's
all.
really beautiful. I do really enjoy sour drinks. Not overly sour. We went to a bar recently, and it was a friend of ours. It was his last day as a bartender at some bar, just some bar.
Some bar.
Yeah, and we asked him to just make us something beautiful, and he did, but he was kind of going back and forth chatting with us, not paying attention. So I'm drinking his, and I'm like, it's good, but man,
It's
I like
tart.
tart things, and this is like tart as shit. And about halfway through the drink, he runs over, he's like, oh my god,
I forgot the maraschino. Or
he
simple
forgot.
syrup.
Syrup. Yeah.
Yeah, or I think it maybe was even some juice or something like that.
Oh, pineapple juice.
Pineapple
Yeah.
juice. So he actually ran over with another cocktail. It's like, here you
Oh,
go. It's on the house. Just have both. Yeah.
I've done that before. What's interesting is in the pandemic, I think for me anyways, I've leaned in quite heavily into making my own drinks and entertaining whatnot. And then the other day I went out and I realized how fucking expensive it is to go out and drink. I was just like,
Oh,
holy shit.
yeah.
So expensive.
And I texted
like-
Kevin. I was like, we should open a bar, man. Like, this is outrageous. I went to this one place. They had like $18 old fashioned. I was just like, what is this?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Where
This
is
is
this?
insane.
Right
It's
by his
just-
house,
just
actually.
a place by my house, a new
Oh.
place.
Was
I
it
was
an
just like,
amazing old
Okay, maybe it
fashioned?
wasn't 18. It was like 15, I think, something like that. But even like a gin and tonic was like $10. But
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, they're like what,
God.
between $11 and $14 usually for a cocktail if you go to someplace
Still.
nice. I know. We're used to drinking at home now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Budget
And
drinking.
not subjecting ourselves to the Utah poor either. So
Yeah.
Right.
There's
That's
also
why
that.
I would never condone this, obviously, because it would be
because
a
we're
bad
being
idea.
responsible and
But-
think of the
but
children, Kevin.
That's why pre-gaming is so vital to a good
In
night
U-
at the bar.
in Utah.
Yeah. And then you're just sipping to keep a little edge to things.
Keep it
or
going,
whatever,
yeah.
Sometimes aviations can be a little too sour for me. So I did make a little syrup. It was like a lavender buds. And
Oh.
I actually used
Wow.
dried violet in it.
Oh,
Wow.
lovely.
So I'm not even sure how those actually taste. And then some rose water. So that's, I do like floral drinks. So,
Yeah.
and I
I
only
think-
used like a quarter ounce of that just to barely sweeten it.
think
So
with
it's not
cocktails,
so
once-
tart.
Once you get the hang of like the general gist of things, it's not terribly intimidating, I think. But
Just
certain-
tinker. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly starting out drinking can be intimidating. I know we touched on it a little bit last time, but getting into drinking can be a completely daunting thing. For me, I didn't start till I was 33, I think. Started out with some rough stuff, red wine, I think Merlot. tried some gin. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh.
Like, what
Merlot
is
as
this?
like one of your first wines?
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
And when
I
you
was
start
like,
out, you're drinking trash brands too, really.
Eh,
Like you're just
yeah.
buying like what things you have known, like brands you hear on commercials and
yeah,
whatnot.
I think my first gin was Tanqueray. I was like, okay, let's try this out. This gin. It's like, what
It's
the
a
fuck?
nice dry gin. Yeah. You were probably drinking a lot of very dry drinks too. So hardly
Yeah,
not much
yeah.
sugar content. And our palates aren't used to that
You know,
as
that's a
Mormons.
really
Yeah.
that's a really
True.
good point. So for me, my journey began there. I think I tried Jameson as well, because hey, you know, you go with what you know. In the movies or TV, people are drinking whiskey and you think, oh, this must be good. And you take
Which
that
it
first
is.
sip,
It
and
is.
it's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, now I mean,
Now it is.
your palate changes, you get used to things. But I was just like, holy shit, what is this? This is not good. It actually wasn't until so my brother took me to a local Indian restaurant here, and I had, let's see, I actually had my first beer there.
Are we talking Bombay House?
Yes, Bombay House.
Nice. Oh, I love that place.
So I
much.
had a Hop Rising, which that's an intense beer to start out with,
Yeah.
because super high alcohol content. I don't know if you've had it before. Very, very hoppy.
It's
IPA.
super hoppy.
Oh my
yeah.
god, so bitter, but it was good. It was delicious with the food, right? But then I remember trying. He had me get some Moscato, and I had told him, "Hey, you know, I've tried wine before. This sucks. I don't like it." He's like, "No, just try this." I try it, and I'm like, oh, "Okay, this is good." It's just like grape juice, though.
Yeah.
It's like,
But the alcohol content's like a strong beer, basically.
yeah, it's like, 9-10%, and then super sweet and flavorful. But today we just want to talk a little bit about getting started, where to start. So that's kind of where my mind's at, in terms of
my
where I started.
recommendation is just drink straight Popov vodka for a couple years.
And after that, everything else is delicious.
Or
Yeah.
Everclear.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've
don't
never
do either of those
I've
things.
never
yeah.
actually had Everclear.
Oh,
But yeah, for me, it's been quite the adventure, just trying different things. I remember tequila shots, Cosmos, tried those at first as well. But
tequila.
if you're like me, at least this is my recommendation, if you're just starting out drinking, and if you're curious about different alcohols, these are some of my recommendations. If you're like, hey, I wonder what tequila's like, try a margarita. We did an episode on the Tommy's margarita, super delicious, easy to drink. And the more you get used to the alcohol, the more you'll eventually get to the point where now I can sip gin and I can appreciate the complexity of the flavor, or tequila, I can sip on that, and that's fine. But I would say start with, if you're going with something like a tequila, start with a margarita. If you're doing vodka, and if I'm stealing your recommendations, my apologies, but Cosmopolitan's a good place to start, I think, with vodka. That, or something like a Moscow Mule if you like ginger and fizzy things. For gin, I would recommend just a gin and tonic. Super simple, easy, and a bit more complex than you'll get with the other cocktails, but it's pretty good. Rum, for me, I would say something like a pina colada, some sort of blended tiki drink. That's going to be easy to drink. And then for wines, I would say, I'm probably forgetting something. Whiskey. Whiskey is a difficult one, I think. I'm curious to hear your recommendations.
I think whiskey is just an acquired taste. Like
yeah, I'm trying to think of a
think-
good whiskey cocktail though.
Well, I mean, I think a
whiskey
whiskey
sour.
sour is a good place to start. Yeah.
Mm.
If you don't like sour things, then maybe not, but it's not overly sour either. And you can tinker with the simple syrup or whatever.
Or just tell the bartender, hey, I like things a little bit sweeter. So
the first whiskey drink I had was an old fashioned. And in the last episode, I talked about my cousins taking me out and being like, oh, now let's make him try this. Let's make him try that. I remember they got me an old fashioned. I was already kind of fucked up. But I remember being like, I don't love this. It's like it was too strong of a flavor for me when it came down to
I will say, if you're just starting out, and if I had to pick one thing for you to try that won't scare you off, I would say, well, it's a toss-up really. Either a margarita or a Moscato of some sort.
Ooh.
Yeah, Moscatos are kind of the go-to. They're kind
It's
of like the
like-
Kool-Aid of wines.
Yeah, exactly. Because
God damn it,
then you're not
Spencer.
like
That was exactly what I was gonna say.
because then you're not like, holy shit, what is happening to my body?
Or
At least
White
it's
Zinfandels, right?
White Zinfandel, Riesling's good too.
Yeah.
But I think the easiest thing you can probably do is just a Moscato.
Yeah,
That would be my recommendation.
I would probably, man, see, it really is a toss up for me because I was gonna say my recommendation, like if someone's like, hey, I want to try drinking, what should I go to the store and buy? You know, like actually, you know, I think I would have 3 recommendations. I would say get a Moscato. Definitely, like the Moscato is an easy win, right? Like it tastes good, gets you a little bit drunk. Or margaritas are so easy to make, and you can kind of play with like, oh, maybe I want to try, like you'll have the tequila there, so you could try a little tequila if you want.
And I will say, don't buy the mix. It's so
Yeah,
easy to just
don't do
it's
it.
so easy to just make one. It's literally like lime juice and some agave.
I don't even know why anybody would buy the mix.
I remember the first time
not good.
Laziness.
I remember when I started getting in, like, so a little bit of history. Kevin and Belinda are awesome. They've been doing this drinking thing much longer time than I have. I remember messaging Kevin. I was like, "Hey, Kevin, what's sour mix?" And he's like, "It's just lime juice and lemon juice." Because I was gonna go to the store. I was gonna try and find it, you know. And I guess that would be my other tip too.
Well,
If you're
and the
getting
reality
into it,
is,
just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
yeah, find a friend who knows at least more than you,
Or a
and ask-
bartender,
ask
right?
it. That's-
Bartenders love to share their knowledge. If you're
especially if you
curious,
go when
right?
it's not overly busy.
right.
Yeah.
If you go, I mean, hopefully in the very near future, you can go and sit at the bar, because that's not always a thing anymore. But if you can go on a weekday when it's not busy and buy a couple drinks, and just when the bartender's over there, be like, or when they're taking order, say, "Oh, I'm pretty new to drinking. I'm trying to learn what I like. I know I like tequila. Like, can you make me something with tequila?" And they're probably going to ask you questions. Then they're going to be like,
I'd be like, "Here's a
"Do you
Long
like
Island iced
sweet?
tea
Do you
for
like
you." then."
savory?" Yeah, I mean, I'm talking a little bit nicer cocktail bar,
Right.
not just like the local dive bar.
Yeah, if you are
Local dive
starting
bar is
out,
going to be like, "Do you like Bud Light or do you like Coors Light?"
if you
Like,
are
which
starting
one do you
out,
want?
do not, under any circumstances, get a Long Island iced tea. Do not do that.
You'll get
Well,
fucked-
in
you'll get
Utah, it
fucked
doesn't
up.
matter
Yeah.
what you
Okay, in
get.
Utah it doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
either that or an AMF, do not do either of those if you're just starting out.
No,
They look
those will
pretty,
fuck
at
you
least
up.
the
Yeah.
AMF looks pretty, but do not do it. That's also known as the adios motherfucker. Do not do that.
I remember Long Island iced teas and AMFs were very popular at the first bar I started to spend any considerable time at, called, that doesn't exist anymore, called the Madison.
Oh yeah.
And they were delicious. They were really delicious. And I'm pretty sure part of the reason they had to get shut down were liquor violations. And I'm pretty sure some of their liquor violations were, I think sometimes they poured a little extra in things, but that's just my guess. It's not, nobody take that as fact.
Bartender
But they were delicious. But the reality is, a lot of the times when you go to dive bars, which, trust me, I enjoy spending time at dive bars for sure, but you have to know what to order, because most of the time they're using the little spray gun, the little shooter nozzle thing, for sweet and sour mix, for they're using maybe some Coke instead of other ingredients that they would normally use, that are just better, higher quality ingredients, and that are going to make the drink taste like. So I remember the first time I ordered in San Francisco a Long Island iced tea. They were pouring all this shit in there, and I was like, what the fuck?
This is like
It's not-
60%
It's not like
alcohol.
this, and then spray. Yeah.
Yep.
And so first of all, it fucked me up really good, which was not a bad thing. But it was so much more complex. Like the one I was used to tasted good, just like ordering a Diet Coke tastes good, right? It was cold and refreshing,
I've
and it
never
got me
actually
drunk.
had a Long Island iced tea.
Me either.
And they're really
I
good.
avoid them because of.
I mean, they'll fuck you up. They'll fuck
Yeah.
you up. And I don't often want to get that fucked up where one drink has me like, "Ooh." But
Okay, now I really need to try this.
yeah, we'll
Dude, we
make
should
one
make
one
them.
sometime.
we should make them
Make-
for the
We
show.
should have an episode where we just do high levels of, minimum 6 ounces of alcohol cocktails.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I had another recommendation. It was another good one is a gin and tonic. Like you said, Spencer, like super easy to make. You can kind of gauge your level of what you feel comfortable with the gin. Or if this person that like you're trying to like introduce to drinking, maybe they want to try out something that's like even more light than like a mixed drink. Go get a press. Presses.
Oh
are
yeah. That's
true.
easy. Press is easy. I was gonna say, Will, and I think you're our resident gin and tonic expert. However, I've experimented with a few twists, pun intended, on gin and tonic, and I feel like if you don't like the flavor of gin, there's so many different gins you can try. So many different.
And listen, a mixed drink, it can be totally different than drinking it, neat, right?
Absolutely. Right. And depending on your budget, right, and your palate, there are several gins you can play with. Something like an Uncle Val's is a completely different experience than a Tanqueray.
Yep.
And even within the Tanqueray family, you've got different variants there. You've got Hendrix. There's just all sorts of different things. But I was going to say that if you play with, so gin and tonic, we did an episode on it. Basically a little citrus, gin, and tonic water, right? So depending on the amount of citrus you put in, it's going to actually cut back on the gin flavor. So if you don't like the flavor of alcohol and the type of citrus too, I prefer my gin and tonic with lemon. I don't like lime in my gin and tonic. If I'm out on the town and I'm hanging out with friends, I'll do the lime. Cool. And I feel as though many bartenders skimp on the citrus, but I love the citrus in my gin and tonic.
Yeah.
Me
So
too.
you can play with that. You can play with the amount of gin, the type of gin. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. Cucumber slices in your gin and tonic.
Oh yeah,
are actually
so
quite
refreshing.
refreshing. Now summer's coming. Try it out. If you haven't tried it before, cut up some fresh cucumber, put it in there.
And with the lemon, like you're saying.
The lemon, it'll change.
So
if you want to put a few lavender flowers in, you could do that, and that's going to shift the drink as well. So there's a lot. It's kind of fertile ground, if you will, open field to try some different things. So
I think the key is being curious, right?
Absolutely.
And being adventurous, because it feels safe in some areas, right? I think when I first started drinking, I drank a lot of vodka cranberries, right? Because it's like
Cosmos
cranberry juice, or not even Cosmos. What do they call it?
Well, isn't that basically a Cosmo?
It's basically a Cosmo.
Yeah.
Kind of, or they call it something else, like some northeastern.
Okay.
So
you did a lot of vodka.
You know what I'm talking about?
Like something bog or cranberry bog or something like that.
No, I can't remember, but anyway, it's just easy, and it's I don't know, it's kind of a basic bitch drink, right? So
we can all do that sometimes.
It's interesting you recommend that, Belinda, because I feel like vodka is an easy alcohol too. So
absolutely, it masks easy, right?
It's flavorless for the most part.
Vodka exists to make drinks alcoholic.
Yes.
Right.
That's
one of my kids called vodka a sad drink because it just doesn't, it's just to get fucked up, right? Like there's no reason for vodka besides getting drunk.
That has a negative connotation to it. I like to playfully refer to vodka as just water 2.0. That's what I like.
I like that.
Except fun water. Yeah.
Fun water. Yeah, there you go.
Fun water.
So often the Cosmo has a little triple sec or Cointreau in it and some of the lime juice. Yeah.
Okay, so a bit of citrus.
Just a little amped up.
So vodka cranberry was your first.
Or maybe it's lemon juice.
It wasn't my first, but it was just kind of a good, go-to. Like when you're in a group of people and everybody's ordering drinks and you don't know what to order and you're just like a vodka cranberry, and they give you a vodka cranberry, and then eventually you kind of ask for it less and less cranberry-ish and more vodka-ish.
A splash of cranberry,
just barely pink. Come on,
2 drops of cranberry juice.
It's like
please.
it's like when you get a mimosa and it's like super light. It's just a
Yeah.
splash of orange
Yes.
juice.
I remember me and Kevin went to this bar in Boston one time,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and I just remember I kept on having to ask him. I was like, no, less tonic, more gin. Like maybe like 3/4 of gin and just a little bit of tonic, please.
And wasn't it lovely they were able to do that for you? It wasn't
They
Utah,
did it
right?
sometimes.
Sometimes Boston actually has some. The Northeast actually has some weird liquor laws. Some places
Really?
too. I can't remember if Boston is one of those places or not, but they have like state-run liquor stores and stuff too.
Yeah,
And,
Gotcha.
Pennsylvania as well. So after
Oh, Cape Cod, a Cape Cod. That's what you're thinking of.
Cod, that's
so
what it's
after
called.
the vodka cranberry, what did you shift
I
to?
kind of got adventurous. I think after that, Kevin and I started exploring cocktails. We found that shake book and we were like, oh, wait, you can make syrups. You can like add all these kind of different infusions and things.
Yeah, see, that's the
were
phase
just-
I'm in right now. I'm in the mad science.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
fun.
And you're like,
It's a fun
anything
stuff.
is possible, right? Like
I
you
fucking made
like,
some
there's
gin
no
the other
end.
day from scratch from vodka. Like
Shut
Yeah,
up.
that's
Are you
fucking
serious?
awesome.
you can do
How
that.
was it?
It's all
Tell us
right.
about it,
You
though.
know, I'm still learning,
It's
but you
okay?
could do that. Yeah, you can
See
do
that was
An
was
upcoming
something-
brand.
See, I'm more in the phase of just learning about alcohol, really,
Yeah.
because it was just a couple months ago that I found out that gin is just fancy vodka.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's
Yeah,
true.
you buy some juniper berries, some coriander.
It's
Some,
juniper tea mixed with vodka. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No,
all it
I
is.
remember we went to Copper Common. I shouldn't say that. Just edit that part out. We went to a local bar. I'm just gonna talk about
We can say the name of bars.
Fuck Copper
It's-
Common.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Except
Went
for
to
bars
Copper
we
Common.
hate, but we like Copper Common. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna tell the story about like being adventurous. So we went to Copper Common and I didn't know a lot about gin, right? And this lovely bartender, he's one of our very favorites.
Shout out to Ross. Yeah.
Ross. He was there and he was helping us. And Kevin went to the restroom and I asked Ross, I was like, I just don't know a lot about gin. Like, I don't understand why it's so great. And Kevin came back and I had a flight of gin in front of me, like 4 shots, like 4 or 5 shots of gin. And I was just like trying them all. And he was telling me about
Yes.
them. The thing is, if you ask bartenders and you're curious and you are sincere and you do want to know
They'll hook
more
you
and
up.
understand
They'll
it,
hook you up.
they will hook you up and do
Yeah.
many illegal
It's like,
things.
hey, I'm new.
You
You just say, hey, I'm new to this. I'm curious about gin. I don't know what to order. They'll just
Right.
pour little bits of a lot of stuff for you.
Tell me
That-
why
yeah.
this is good, right?
Yeah,
Like, tell me why this is better than this, right?
Which
or tell
goes
me
back to
why
what I
this is
said.
different
Just
than
ask
this. Yeah.
questions. If you're new, just
Yep.
ask questions. There's nothing
That
weird about
that reminds me of I didn't actually like whiskey until very recently, and it was after one of the friends of our show. I don't know if I should
Big Dick Darren.
Big Dick Darren.
No.
Oh,
TD, me and TD. I won't say
Oh,
his name.
TD.
T,
Yeah.
yeah. What's up, T?
We went up to High West and did their little like sampling of it.
In the Park
And-
City.
Yeah, in or wherever the
One chip.
One ship.
the one chip
Oh,
one.
that's a pretty one.
And it was great. Like ever since then, I finally had like this kind of appreciation for whiskey. So,
Yeah.
So-
definitely try out a few different things before you make up your mind.
So I think some of that is what we've already talked about. It's letting your palate kind of adjust to it. But
Yeah.
some of it is also educating yourself goes a long way. And like knowing what you're expecting to taste and knowing what to look for when it comes to the tasting notes and things like that is a game changer.
Because you look at and watching videos sometimes is not enough. Like I watch whiskey tasting videos sometimes, and oh, there's notes of caramel and coriander and this and orange peel. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fucking good. And then you try it, and you're like, oh my god,
It tastes like
It's like-
fire.
it
It tastes like fucking fire.
I know it tastes like fire in your mouth. And you're just like, what the fuck just happened? So that's a good point, Kevin. Expectation,
Yeah.
my expectation when I tried wine was that this was gonna be some like grape juice that will just fuck me up and make me feel
Right.
good.
Right.
But no,
Well-
it was not.
Well, we
Oh, that
keep
would be so
Mormonism,
nice.
right? And so what are the flavor notes of Mormonism? You got sugar, you got cream of mushroom soup, you got like, I don't know, what are the
Belinda, that
other
is
Mormon flavor notes?
More
Let's-
sugar, white
Marshmallows,
bread.
sugar,
Mayo.
fat, and salt.
Wonder Bread,
Sugar,
Yeah.
fat, salt.
Diet Coke, caffeine free.
The flavor of
Oh.
Mormonism is comfort.
Oh, funeral potatoes.
Funeral
just
potatoes.
as
You know,
its
oh
own
God,
ingredient.
that sounds so good right now.
Sounds really good, actually. Yeah.
With the cornflakes or without?
I like the
Oh,
buttered
and I'm
cornflakes.
Oh, but we had a friend, shout out to Amy and Skip, who just taught us that if you do half cornflakes and half,
Potato chips?
was it regular potato chips or was it salt and vinegar potato chips?
I thought it was just regular potato chips.
Maybe just
but-
regular, but you do half and half and crunch them up together. Oh yeah, those were
Mm.
good.
Okay, that sounds good.
Everybody has their funeral potato
Yes.
secrets. Yeah.
And for those who
Yeah,
don't
I-
know, funeral potatoes are a Mormon staple. as
And they're
the name implies.
delicious.
Something that's served at funerals,
Actually,
but also
yes, for reals, they are.
singles
Yeah.
activities.
Well, we have lots of
parties.
babies, so hence we have lots of funerals too, because
is true.
everyone
Oh my
dies.
God.
That is true.
So Kevin, what would you recommend to somebody like asking you, hey, I want
I-
to start drinking?
First of all, I love the question always when someone asks me that. We
Yes.
talked about TD last week asking me that. I love it whenever it comes upon me when someone's like,
When
I want to
you're-
start drinking or I
love
want to
it
start drinking
when-
cocktails.
love it when it comes on you.
I love it.
Eh.
Yes.
Right here in my chest. Yeah. No. I think the
Sorry.
most important thing is finding someone who knows more than you do, who you're not embarrassed to ask questions to, is the key. Because the reality is what's good for me when I'm new to drinking and what's good to every single other person is going to be slightly different. I tried Moscato early on in my drinking and I was like, what is this sweet ass bullshit? Yeah. I started drinking as an older person. I was 42 plus. And so I think, and I'd been into cooking for 15 years at that point and like trying lots of new flavors and things like that. So I think my palate was a little more refined or whatever, or
Yeah.
maybe my taste buds were just more dead than everyone else's. But I didn't mind the strong flavors as much. Like I said, I thought, oh man, this old fashioned is some strong ass shit. But for the most part, most of the flavors didn't bother me. So I think it's important if you can find a friend who knows you a little bit, or you at least feel comfortable like explaining what you're looking for in a drink, and then not being afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Peer pressure. We were all taught when we were kids that peer pressure is a bullshit thing, whatever.
Peer pressure is awesome. Always give in to peer
Always
pressure.
succum to peer pressure.
Always.
It will.
If all your
always
friends
lead
jump
to
off a
success.
cliff.
Search your feelings, Will.
No, what I was gonna say is, in this case, peer pressure is not a great thing, because when you step up to the counter to order that first coffee, or not even first, second, third, fourth, fifth,
Yeah.
20th, whatever, or a cocktail, and you're not educated enough to know what you actually want or
Yeah.
like, or
You'll
you're
end up
too
with something
afraid
disappointing,
to admit
right?
it. You'll either get something that's like not really what you want, but it's just, I know the word Cosmo because I heard the person, two people in front of me who
Sex in the
order
City.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you're gonna do the safe things and not really learn what
But
you like.
I've been out with people who've been drinking for years, for example, and they've never had a last word.
Sure.
And I'm
sure.
like, "You've
So they're
never
still
had
in
one?"
that safe
And
space,
then
right?
I order one, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is my new favorite cocktail."
So
Yeah.
drinking and cocktail culture, even if you go out drinking, but you're mostly drinking beer or you're mostly going to dive places, which, like I said, have their place. I'm not trying to put them down, but I've gone to plenty of places where I've just ordered an old fashioned because I wanted a cocktail and I knew old fashioned or gin and tonic might be my only option here because they're mostly a beer bar.
Shout out to the
Um,
Hitching Post,
Shout out to the Hitching Post. Oh my
PG
God.
Star Saloon.
Exactly. I may be speaking about one of those. You get an old fashioned, or you order an old fashioned.
And they're like, "What?"
what's that?
What?
You know, and you
I'm
get
like-
something with tons of juice
Oh,
in it,
I'm
and you're
like,
like, "What am I
they go-
drinking?"
they go-
I'm
look it
like,
up
do
on
you,
their
do you
phone.
have no? Like she was even like, I was like, do you have whiskey? And she's like, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah, just like
Whiskey, some
an ounce and a
bitters,
half of whiskey and some bitters
and
and like,
orange peel.
you have a sugar cube? She's like, a sugar
What's-
cube?
Just
No.
put like a bar
I'm like, do you
spoon
have
of
simple
syrup in there,
syrup?
yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, no. And so I was like,
Oh,
What?
I was like, I think
Shouldn't
she
you have
had
syrup?
she had some juices, like some orange juice, some lemon juice, and some lime juice.
Oh my god.
And
So
then
it wasn't
like,
an old fashioned, is what
and
you're
then the
saying.
spray thing, and this is what they use a lot. The spray thing, they'll use the simple syrup, but it's kind of
Ah.
slightly carbonated simple syrup because it's in the spray thing. So it was not good. It
I
was not
mean,
good
not
at
to
all.
entirely knock the spray thing. The spray thing is magical. It can like on command give you Diet
Sure,
Coke or
sure,
simple
sure.
syrup or some tonic.
But
water. It's
for-
actually fucking
for-
cool.
I kind of want one myself.
I know,
Deli-
right? I was thinking that
delicious
too.
cocktails. But for delicious cocktails in places where they don't often hold the same standards I might for cleaning their equipment and things like that. Sometimes it's not delicious.
All right. Switching gears a little bit. Memorable cocktails you had in your drinking experience starting out. I'll go first. So for me, it was, I'm thinking Water Witch, but it wasn't Water Witch. It was Copper Kitchen or Copper
Upper Common. Yeah.
They're
I
lovely.
think it's Copper
yeah.
Canteen. I don't remember. Somewhere there. Anyhow, they gave me where I ordered some smoked old fashioned. And at the time I was on an old fashioned kick, and I hadn't experienced anything like that. So I ordered this thing and it comes and it's all smoky and stuff. I'll never forget it. It was just so sublime. It was just so good.
Right?
It's hard to even find words to describe, but for me that was a shift for
A
me.
little cocktail.
Yeah, because I felt like I wasn't just drinking sugary swill. I was able to enjoy the complexity of the flavor, the presentation, and everything else, the atmosphere.
And you paid more than $6 for it, probably.
Certainly good company, but yeah, and I paid more than $6 for it.
It had
so
value. Yeah.
For me, that was a turning point for me, and introduced me to, I think, wider possibilities. It took me a while to come around to gin. For a while I was super into whiskey. I still am. Like, I love whiskey, I appreciate it, but now I've been on a gin kick. So but that was my first, I think, cocktail that changed things for me.
I love that.
I don't really have a cocktail like that, Spencer. I remember
We need to take you out, Will. We need to
Yeah,
go
we
out on
do.
the town.
you guys do, because what I was gonna say is one of like my first, like, I don't know, alcohol experiences was just like some friends that were kind of friends of friends, and I don't even know how it happened, but they like were like, do you want to go on a bar crawl with us this weekend?
Rock crawl.
And I was like, fuck
Rock
yeah, I
crawl.
do.
Brawl
Bar crawl. Whatever.
We're just gonna fight
Bar
everyone we
crawl.
see. Fuck you.
And I just remember like that was one of my first experiences with trying different types of cocktails, and it was just magical. So not one specific cocktail, but going out and having fun with some friends is always
Fair
a
enough.
magical
I think that's a
experience.
good way to do it too, Will, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Is that, sometimes it's good to go to as many. I mean, responsibly. do a bar,
Right.
do
We're
a bar
not that
crawl, and
responsible.
try a drink. Not a dick. Try a drink.
Try a dick.
Try-
Try,
try
a
a
pussy.
dick.
Try a dick. See what happens. Try a drink at each bar and just see. To say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm new here. Help me out. I'm trying I want to try something different. Or what's your favorite?
What I was gonna say this just a little bit earlier, but I actually have a really close friend to me ask about drinking coffee, and what I told them was, I won't get too deep into this, but like I was like, you got to go for like a mocha or a cappuccino, like something that isn't like super coffee
Flavored latte.
Or latte,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, which in reality it's just coffee flavored milk, but I won't get into that
Yeah.
controversy. But
Delicious
what I-
coffee flavored milk. Yeah.
Yes, it is delicious. But what I also told them was, like, go ask the barista. Like, I'm sure they get this question all the time here in Utah. Like, I'm new to drinking coffee. What's something you would recommend to somebody that's new? And I'm sure bartenders are the same way, especially here in Utah. I bet they've at least heard like, hey, I don't know, like what I'm new to drinking. What would you recommend? I guarantee you've
Absolutely.
all heard something like that in Utah.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially when you start drinking coffee and alcohol later in life, there's like a level of embarrassment almost, like when you go into the coffee shop and
It's
you're
like I'm 33. I should know this shit.
I know, you look at the menu and you're like, I don't know what these things are. I don't know what's going to be good. It's probably going to be awful. I remember my first coffee experience at Public Coffee. I was meeting somebody there for like a business meeting, and I was frantically texting my sister. I'm like, I'm in a coffee shop. And, I'm like, I don't want to look like an idiot, obviously, because I've never ordered a coffee before and any place. And it was a great place to start coffee.
For sure.
But it also was different than I had imagined coffee would be too, because I didn't know what to order really. And she gave me a suggestion, it was just like a plain latte, right? So it wasn't sweet. Here I got this latte and I sipped on it and I stone faced, like all day long. But I think there's just, especially when you're older, you're like, oh gosh, I just don't want to look like a dumbass, right?
Don't feel like a dumbass.
No, you don't. You won't feel like, you shouldn't feel like a dumbass. You won't be a dumbass, but just be genuine, right?
Yeah.
Nobody should, but especially in Utah, just know everyone knows that people of all ages, all backgrounds, whatever, are often new to coffee or alcohol drinking. Like it's not a big deal. And if worse comes to worse and you're one of our listeners, just text me or message me or whatever.
Message us. We'll give you so many suggestions. Actually, that would be a great idea. We should have like people send in, ask for suggestions of drinks.
Oh, there you go.
They should drink.
Or just a Q&A show. What are your questions?
Yeah.
We'll push for that. So
just the tip with
just the tip. With
What's your most memorable cocktail, Kevin?
Mine is actually, so I was on a business trip as well.
Please don't say Pickleback. Please don't.
Oh, that
was a
memorable.
fun one too.
Yeah. That was magic, actually.
Oh my God.
No,
I think it's magic introducing other people.
You
to
like
it
you like Bloody Mary,
That's true,
so
too.
I can understand this.
Yeah. No, mine was a last word. So mine was a last word, which we haven't done. We've done its close cousin.
The written word.
The written word. But
we get you boys.
So I was in San Diego on a business trip, and I went. I met my cousin, who was stationed at the time in the Navy there, and we were doing a little bar crawl business. It was a good time. Shout out to Nate, who's retiring from the Navy soon.
Awesome.
So we're just mostly going to like sports bars. Right there, it's called the Gas Lamp District in downtown San Diego. It's beautiful. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right by the ballpark. If you're into baseball, we didn't go to the game at the time, but we started out at a sports bar right next to the stadium, and we kind of were working our way around. And then we met one of his Navy buddies, and his Navy buddy was like, "Hey, do you want to go to a speakeasy?" And I'm like, "Yeah. What is this?" "Yes, I do." So we go to a sports bar. I can't remember what the sports bar is called.
But you could Google it.
Isn't the point of a speakeasy that you don't know the name?
Well, you go to the sports bar, and it's just a regular sports bar, and then you go to back by the bathrooms. And I know I told you all about this. I can't remember if I've said it on the show, but essentially there's this wall of beer kegs stacked back by the bathroom, and if you know the right place to like push this button and then reach in a hole and pull it open, the wall opens up as a door, and you're in this tiny little waiting room that can hold like no more than 6 people tightly.
Okay, that's fucking awesome.
And there's a person there, and you give them your name, and then if there's a wait, which there usually is, you have to go back out. They give you a little, or I think they just text you, but they text you and you come back, and then you can go in. And you go inside, and one wall, obviously they're not real, they're like cast from plaster or whatever. One wall is just human skulls, like all different sizes and whatever. It's very dark. It's very like,
That is awesome.
yeah, it's like,
Shifty.
so I go in and I'm just like, what is this magic? Like, yeah. And so we sat down and the bartender's like, there's a small menu at the table or whatever. But he was like, you can order off the menu or you can just tell me what you like and I can make something for you. And so I was like, oh, I want to do that. That sounds awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just learning about gin. I really like gin, but I really don't know very much about it. And this is a great example of what we talked about. Like ask and people will tell you. It's like
Ask and
literally
ye shall receive.
exactly.
Knock and it shall be opened unto you.
And just like anything, all of us like work in a
Knock
profession.
3 times in the temple if you want me.
Oh, Spencer, that needs to be a meme. What?
Sorry, I'm very drunk.
You're good.
Same.
But we all like being asked about what we're good at, right? Like, or what we know a lot about. So anyway, he was like, I think you'll like a last word. It's simple, it's classic, it's whatever. I'm not going to get wild and crazy with you. I think you'll really enjoy a last word. Have you had that? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I had that and it changed everything. And from that point on, I think I met Belinda like a week or 2 after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I started really getting into cocktails. And then like we talked about, we got that one recipe book. Shake.
I feel like a last word is the type of cocktail that like unless you're really experienced, you can't really taste the alcohol.
No, it's beautiful.
The
but, like,
chartreuse is so
It's
forward, and the
so-
maraschino that you're not even thinking about the gin unless you use a really interesting
Oh,
gin.
now I
And-
want one of
really
those.
get
and that was the first time. So having a great bartender makes all the world of difference too.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He set it up. He explained to me about what the chartreuse was and how it's made and the secret of it and the mystery of it and all this. So I'm in this place with fucking human skull wall behind me. I just walked through a keg stand door. Like, yeah, the whole experience was magical. And the drink was like this beautiful, well-balanced, kind of light, lovely thing that also got me drunk as shit when I had a few of them.
I will say, if you go to a bar and the majority of people are wearing rhinestone-studded jeans, chances are you're not going to get very complex or
Bingo.
interesting cocktail. I'm just gonna say that. So, I mean, fucking
Applique, jean
human
pockets.
skull wall. It's
So-
like, yes, some
Not
shit's
generally
going down
going to be
tonight.
the-
Some
yeah.
shit's going down right now.
Hey,
I would.
But that place is a good fucking time though, too, right?
Yes.
Like you are
That
gonna
is
have
true.
fun as shit.
That is true, but you're not gonna get a
Cocktail
fucking
is not
last
going to
word
be
into
premium.
perfection.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get someone torching some rosemary and doing all
You're-
sorts of
Exactly.
shapes and whatever.
You're gonna have a good time until you get your ass kicked in the alley behind it by some
True.
rednecks
Oh.
who see you drive a Prius. Yeah.
Are you okay with that, Kevin?
Oh, I'll kick their ass. It's fine.
Oh, it just sounded like very specific.
No,
I
I mean,
mean-
we've been to many of those bars and we go with the flow. Like it doesn't
So-
matter. We don't
You
give a
just
So I have
shit.
you know what you're getting into. That's all I'm saying. You
I have
know what
I have a friend, one of the best nights ever. I have a dear friend. He and Belinda and I were out, and he just likes to have fun. And he was like, you know what we should do? We should do like bar crawl bingo. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
This was
And he-
amazing. I just saw this
we're
picture
at
the
his
other day and
apartment.
I was thinking about this. I was like, oh my God, that was the best night.
So he grabs a piece of paper and a marker and he like draws a bingo square, with the things. And then he's like, all right, it's free in the middle, like regular.
I'll find
bingo.
this picture.
5x5. Yep.
And then we have to have like things for the different squares. And then every time we get bingo, I don't remember. It was some like take 2 shots in a row or
2 tequila shots.
and if we do blackout, we have to, but there were things like see someone with applique jeans,
An awkward first date.
awkward
Yep.
first date.
Yeah, those are easy.
Um,
Those are easy.
Bros with flat brimmed hats,
Oh.
like so we did a whole bunch of those things. It was fun.
That
It's
is
a good time.
awesome.
That was one of the funnest things. Oh my God, that night I was just like looking at that picture the other day and I was like, oh, the bingo game.
Exactly.
The four of us need to do a bingo game. We need to make
That
that
would
up
be
on the
so
fly and go out on the town and do a bingo
My-
game.
So
my
yeah,
That would
friends-
be so fun.
My friend's about to get back in town. I'm thinking we should take him out on the town when he gets back in town. He's
I
been out of
agree.
town for a few
Oh,
months.
that
so-
friend. Yes,
So I have
that
a
would be
few
fun.
most favorable, most memorable cocktails. I'm a little drunk so far.
We're all drunk. It's all good.
Good Lord, no, I'm drunk as
Will
shit.
is the
I only
responsible
had a
adult.
little bit of dinner, so I'm
No,
like,
I'm
and I've had
quite
two of
lit.
these now. So my two most memorable cocktails are,
Yes.
oh, Christ, I thought you were really drinking that. Have you ever had a sip of crème de violette?
I'm about
Drink
to.
it,
I've
drink
never-
it, and tell us about
It's
it.
only like
Chuck,
23%
Chuck,
alcohol, I
Chuck.
think.
Oh,
I think it's
Kevin.
only like 23%.
His lips are purple now.
It's beautiful. It's lovely. I could drink this shit all night on its own. Try
Are
it.
you serious?
Drink
Oh,
some
yeah.
creme de
I'm
violet
curious.
neat.
Oh my
I expected it to be like overly
next
sweet.
time you go
or
to the bar, you're like, I want some creme de violet in a
Straight
double rocks
It-
glass.
It
with an
is a little,
with an absinthe rinse. And they're
Oh,
like,
no.
what? You're like,
it's a little
"What?"
Bath and Body Works. I'm
They're
not gonna
like-
lie.
They're like,
I
what?
think
Um,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Like, are you about to kill someone?
I like
tonight? And they're
soap.
like, yeah. It's going.
Oh, you know
down.
what? Oh, I was like, you know what it reminds me of? And I was going to tell you something that tastes like violet. Okay, anyway.
Shocking.
So
shocking.
my
Oh my
two
God.
most my memorable cocktails, not favorable, but also favorable. They were favorable cocktails. They were great. I'm drunk and I'm lost my drink. So
It's okay. We'll do a my favorite cocktail show soon.
So when I was pretty new to drinking, I have this friend from high school who was one of my good friends, Rosemary, and she is a sommelier, and she
Don't
was
you
in
have to say
town.
that word with your pinky up?
She is a sommelier. And she was going to be in town, and I was like, oh my God, let's go out. And I was really new to drinking. And she's like, yeah, let's definitely. So I'm like Googling places that have good wine. I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta not let this chick down. We went to HSL and HSL's good. And even back then it was like amazing.
Back then it was really
it's
good.
fucking
Yeah.
good. And maybe it's just we were newbies, but we were like, this is
That's
the
true.
best. No, I think it was bad. Cliff was there. Clark was there. We had so many great bartenders at HSL in the early days. And so I took Rosemary to HSL. We went out to dinner, and I remember we ordered a bottle of wine, and she picked it because obviously, you know, she knew what to order, and she was gentle with me, obviously. And she picked it just a beautiful like a Riesling or as a Chardonnay or something that wasn't going to be too, you know, upsetting to me. But I remember she looked at the menu and she's like, I see you have a milk punch on the menu. Is it a true milk punch? And they were like, oh yes. And I was like, I don't know what the heck she's talking about. She's like, I'll have one of those. And she's like, you'll love it. So she orders, and it was a tequila milk punch. I remember she ordered it, and she's like, "You'll have one too. It's great." We drink it, and it is the most beautiful drink I've ever had in my entire life. And I was like, I couldn't shut up about it to Kevin for 2 fucking years. I was like,
I was like, milk. I don't love milk, to be
no,
honest.
no,
with
no,
you.
and I don't
So
either.
I'm like, ugh.
I was like, it was
Sounds
the best
objectionable.
cocktail that I've ever
now
had.
you're the milk punch people now.
We're milk punch.
Yeah.
We are the
So,
milk punch people.
This girl, she had dated a guy who had, I don't know, he got into the milk punch scene, I guess, as it were. And now he has his
I don't
own
even think
brand.
there's really a milk punch scene.
We'll
I
just
think- I
roll
think
with it, Kevin.
I think he
He is
created
the milk punch
scene.
zone.
Yeah.
So he has a brand of milk punch. It's called Rocky's Milk Punch is the name of it. And I would love to buy a bottle of it. It's not available in Utah, obviously. So her ex-boyfriend had developed this and from like historical recipes. It's a wild thing with milk and alcohol and fruit and tea, and it's sounds terrible and tastes amazing and not like alcohol at all. So it'll fuck
And
you
not
up.
like milk at all.
And not even like milk at all.
Wow.
It doesn't even look creamy. It's clear. So she had me taste this milk punch, and it was so delicious. I just almost died. It was a beautiful thing. The second most memorable cocktail I had was when Kevin and I were in New York. What was the bar we were at? Death and Company?
I
The
don't know.
Cards.
No, that was at
No, that wasn't Death. That wasn't
it was
Death
the
and
night.
Company.
No, it was the night we went to the Empire State Building. It's a hotel. It's a hotel bar. Fuck, I can't remember. I'll put it in the show
I know,
notes.
I'm dying. It's so good. So they have like this sort of tarot card reading that you do, and you tell them your base spirit, and kind of like they throw down cards, and you choose the card that is like kind of what you're into. Like it might be Batman, and you choose Batman, and it might be this or that. And then they create a cocktail.
That sounds
those
really
cards.
interesting.
It
It
was
was
the
fun.
funnest
It
thing
was
ever.
super fun.
Awesome.
Oh my God, it was so cool. And they made the most gorgeous cocktails, and they were not busy that night. And that's why we got to do the cards, because it's a very popular bar in New York City.
And
so.
we had read about it in advance. Wait, did Aaron tell us about that one? Maybe.
Perhaps. So we're
Our-
weird about trips, and we make like these spreadsheets and maps and things, and we like pin out
It's
all
true.
these places that we want to go.
So
And
You
this is
guys
one of those places.
absolutely would do that.
So we
So-
knew about this in advance and we asked, and he's like, well, it's not busy tonight. So tonight we can do it. It's fine. Yeah.
So if we were to each offer, just in just to wrap up here,
Yeah.
one line of advice to someone you're just getting in drinking, what would that be? I'm not
I'll
going to
go-
start because I don't know.
I'll go
yet.
first. Just try it.
Just try it.
Yeah.
You may hate it.
So wait, just try it, comma, and then just try it again. The first time you try
that's a good.
the first time you try something, you may not love it, but start thinking about what you do enjoy. Mormons in particular, or other high demand religion people, are used to not putting their own needs or their own thoughts or their own wants before others. So we're unfamiliar with the idea of really thinking about, what do I want? Like, what do I like? Just because I've been told my whole life I like this, let me try some other things. And let me
Just
see.
because it doesn't taste like a swig drink,
Yeah.
maybe it's not that I don't like it. It's
And
that I'm not familiar with it.
you know,
Yes.
mix in the caffeinated Diet Coke. It's fine. But no, try it again. And then as you learn more about these various spirits and or cocktails,
Try it again.
start to recognize
Yeah.
the things that you do like, and then look for ones that do and try it. Like,
You know,
Will said,
I
try it.
laugh, but at the same time, I think, and just piggybacking off your comment, Kevin, is that drinking is not merely about, I think, the flavor. It's the ambiance, it's the company, it's the
Sure.
feeling after. And so
Friends,
trying it
yeah.
again is actually really solid advice. I think in addition to that, I'll go back to what I said. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid. You know, I probably look like a dumbass saying all the time, "Y'all take a whiskey straight." They're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?"
That's my favorite.
But I
Not
didn't
the
even. I
whiskey
didn't, I didn't even-
gay.
I know. I didn't even think, not the whiskey gay, or you know, of an.
Do you live in a Western, Spencer? Do you live in a
persuasion.
Western?
Whiskey straight? It's like, what do you mean? So
Where can I put my-
you know,
my
there's
cowboy
a
hat?
whole language, there's a whole culture, there's a whole approach to things. Even something as simple as like, okay, where do you stand when you go order a drink at the bar? That's something I had to learn by observing and
Yeah.
trying to figure that out. There's usually a little section that's designated, you know, you go up to that point and order, but also there's other things. But you can always ask questions like, hey, I mean, am I in the right spot? Am I, you know, I'm new to this. Is this a good option? Don't be afraid to ask questions. That would be my
Right.
advice.
Belinda, what would your
You'll
advice
be charming if you ask questions, right?
It's true. It's
Exactly.
true.
And they'll be like, "Oh, this cutie, they
And
don't
they'll
know
give
what
you
the fuck they're doing. I'm gonna
they'll
show them
give
a
you
good
free shit.
time."
Come here,
Yeah.
pull you under your wing. Under
Yeah.
the wing.
They'll give you a
Well-
free shot of something. Yeah.
What would you say, Belinda?
I just try something wild, for real. It's like
Ah.
So I remember somebody there was an article I read or a book I read, and they were like, nobody knows how to pronounce a veau carré, right?
Vucare.
I don't even know what the
Carré.
fuck you just said.
And they were like, this is a cocktail. It's a boozy one.
It's a good one. Yeah.
It's a good one. And I was
How do you-
like, I'm gonna order that.
What
I'm
is that
gonna order
called?
A
Vucare.
Vucare. It's a classic cocktail, and it is so good. It's very boozy. But you know what? Just trying it, sipping it slowly. It's not a drink you guzzle or sip through a straw. It's not like something you're just gonna throw back in an instant.
Side
Sip on
note.
it slowly. What?
Here,
Tell me.
here are the ingredients: rye whiskey, cognac, sweet vermouth, Benedictine, and Peychaud's bitters.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
Wow.
Well, this one suggests a
Jesus.
pimento bitter. I'm like, holy shit, this is
Wow.
this is a
Oh, that would be
serious-
good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll
it's
have
one
to-
of my favorites. It's
And
one of my- so-
Benedictine.
yeah, Benedictine is
Fuck.
very strong.
Yeah.
And I remember it being like, I'm going to order that. I'm going to order it. I'm going to say it right. And I ordered it and I said it right. And they brought it to me. And I was like, I sipped on it and it was a slap
Intense.
in the face.
Yeah.
It
It'll
was a
knock
slap in
your
the face.
shit up. Yeah.
It will fuck your shit up. But then I sipped on it more and sipped on it more. Don't taste something and then throw it down and say, I hate it. I mean, that's what babies do. That's what 4-year-olds do. For fuck's sakes.
A call out.
Come on, don't be a fucking baby. Try it again, right? Like Kevin said, keep sipping. Oh, and guess what? After 3 sips, it ain't gonna taste that bad. It's gonna taste good, and you're gonna fucking down that shit. I promise you.
So the
Just so you
sentence
know.
for Belinda is
Don't
be a baby.
fucking baby. No,
Don't
be a fucking.
You
fucking
fucking
baby.
baby.
All right, Will, you're up.
The advice, Kev, my advice is slightly different. It's the point of drinking is not to get drunk. It is to have a good time. So
Absolutely.
go
Oh, that's good advice. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
sometimes the point is to get drunk to have
Sure,
fun.
sure,
True.
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But go slowly, learn how your body kind of interacts with alcohol because everybody's a little bit different. Some people
Sure.
get like super nauseous, some people they don't get nauseous at all. So like kind of ease yourself into it. And like I said, the point is not to get drunk. So don't just go out shooting shots. Have a good time. Don't forget your first couple times.
Yeah, I'm to the point now where I don't get hangovers. I don't get too fucked up. I know my limits now.
Sometimes I don't even get
occasionally
drunk.
do when I'm an asshole. Yeah, like like the other night, remember I did those cocktails I like texted you guys, and then I was drinking the bottle of wine you brought me for my birthday, Will. And I drank the whole fucking thing because I was like, I don't really believe in leaving wine left over. Like, it's fine. So I just like sat there in my chair by my bed and finished that fucking bottle. And the next morning I was like, God damn it. Like no water mixed in. Drink water. That's
Drink lots of water. That's another
advice
pro
number
tip.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
That's the tip.
Yeah.
In advance to your drinking, especially if you know you're going to be drinking a lot, and during.
Drink some water and eat.
Yeah.
Eat and
Yes.
drink some water.
Fucking
Have a
eat.
cracker. Have a cracker. Have a snack.
Eat
Here's the thing.
literally anything before drinking.
Here's the thing I will promise you. I promise you this, just like a general authority in general.
Oh, God.
I promise you that
Oh,
if you drink water,
we need to share that video that Mike Denny did. Packer
That's right.
impersonation he did.
I can't do
Yeah.
Packer. I'm just doing a generic one. But if you drink water while you're having your cocktails, you will indeed have health in the marrow, navel in the
Health
bones.
and navel, marrow in the
No,
bones, strength and
not navel in the bones. Yeah. health in the navel,
Marrow
in the
bones.
bones,
It'll put some marrow in
strength
your
in the
bones.
loins, and in the
You
sinew.
know what'll put some marrow in your bones? A vu carré or whatever you
vu
say.
carré.
Yes, it will.
No,
Yes.
but it will make your cocktails taste better if you don't just layer cocktail upon cocktail upon
And if you
cocktail without
have
refreshing your palate with water.
and
Yeah.
if you have pineapple drinks, it'll make your cocktails better. Okay, thanks everyone for listening
Good
to
night!
Thirst Impressions. It's been fun. You can find us online at thirstimpressions.show. We are at subscribe at ThirstPod on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. We're all over the place, but we do want to hear from you. So if you have any questions about beverages, drinking, anything, life,
First drink
religion,
suggestions. Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
dating, whatever,
Drunken hat purchases.
we will answer those questions for you.
We will.
I would love to answer your questions and talk
Yes.
about what you want to hear. So hit us
Yes.
up for sure.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace
Much
out.
love. Peace
See you
to you.
next time.
And go act fancy.
A queef. Queef Latifah.
It's too close to Keith.
Keith? Who's Keith? Keith Richards? What am I doing? Sure. What am I saying? Tell me what I'm saying. A little dabble, do you?
Yabba dabba do you. Little dabble do you. Sounds rapey. Like Bill Cosby. You put the dab in the do. And then you.
Oh, fuck. Christ. Okay. Try again. Try it again. Okay, one more time. Okay.